We don't want to be insensitive. No, you don't want to be lined up and shot by crazy wackadoos who we need to deal with because they're doing stuff like this. The truth will set you free. It's the lies that cause the cancer and the shootings. The backpedaling's freaking disgusting, too. I don't know if you caught this, but in response to the attack by Muslims in France, the alternative press has pulled the 28-year-old picture of Piss Christ. Do you remember this? Piss Christ is, well, they're pulling it in order to avoid similar attacks from Christians. Oh, but here's the thing. Yeah, Christianity, Catholicism, people that worship God, there's long histories of murder, rape, and genocide, but that's not happening at the moment. Christians aren't going to come in and blow up the alternative press because of a picture that's been sitting around of a piece of art called Piss Christ for the past 28 years. They didn't do it then. They're not going to do it now. It's foolish, shameful backpedaling. Politico has reported that the alternative press removed an image of Piss Christ. It was a photograph taken in 1987. Was it art? That's subjective. A guy called Andre Serrano did this piece of art called Piss Christ. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a statue of Christ submerged in urine. That's what it is. Anyways, until today, the alternative press's policy allowed for the sale and use of the photograph. But now it's all about moral equivalence, isn't it? Now this is a manufactured story where they can push the narrative that Christians are just like Muslims. It's a slippery slope we're on. There's definitely laws in the works prohibiting blasphemy against Muhammad. Don't make laws prohibiting blasphemy against Muhammad. Call it what it is. We advise you not to say or do things that could offend Muslims because you could wind up getting shot like the 12 people in Paris. It's not about sensitivity. It's not about anything other than fear. And at some point, common sense. And the common sense would lead you to believe if you publish cartoons that Muslims don't like, you could die. Let's just deal with that. Because they can't take a joke. You make fun of a Muslim, you could wind up dead if the wrong one hears the joke or sees the picture or whatever the hell. Let's just pull this one over the side of the reality turnpike and get real about this particular situation. Don't sweeten it. Don't soften it with political correctness. Don't make it about sensitivity toward other religions. We are free to rail on Christianity as much as we want to. And there's a lot to rail on there if we really want to dig. There's a lot to rail on in any religion. You're going to find hypocrisy. You're going to find atrocity. You're going to find all sorts of things that are absolutely morally repugnant and reproachable if you dig through the history of any religion. But right now, the only research on religion and its hypocrisy and awfulness throughout its history, the only digging into extremism that's gonna get you killed is digging into Islamic extremism. So let's be real about that one. Like I said, let's pull that one over to the side of the reality turnpike and deal with the reality as opposed to coming up with a comfortable narrative that allows us to gloss over the fact that we're afraid of getting shot by dangerous radicals. Charlie Hebdo editor, who was gunned down, said, "Without freedom of speech, we are dead. I prefer to die than live like a rat." A few years ago, he was on Nightline. And remember, this is an organization that got firebombed back in 2011 for something similar. And he talked about the magazine and why they do what they do. He said, "Our job is not to defend freedom of speech. But without freedom of speech, we are dead. And I prefer to die than live like a rat." It's interesting. We find ourselves in a weird space being part of the satirical universe. We're not bound by political correctness. We can go, "Oh, that was a joke." But in not being bound by political correctness like more upstanding news organizations, I think we stand a much better chance, the Funkhausers and me's of this world, of bringing you the truth. And we thank you for hanging out. Have an awesome one.